And here, it's really exciting to see what's happening with repair and education. There's a lot of interest, and it's really, as much as anything, two things. One is lack of resources of one variety or another. There's so much interest in sustainability and how repair fits into that thankfully tsunami work that's being done. And so getting people the resources that they need, either in materials or networking or funding or sort of connecting other people. This is what we're trying to do in furthering repair in an educational context. So if you want to check out cultureofrepair.org, you can see something about our initiative. So we have some great folks here today. We have Alondra and Lauren, who are working together up in Portland, and we're super excited to have you. I've been working with Lauren a little bit and supporting their project, and it's just really exciting. There's another project out in Leavenworth that Amanda Close is.
That's me too.
Oh, that's you too. Great, Luke. I'm so glad you're here. So they were both grantees for last spring, and both have projects underway at high schools in their immediate areas, and addressing some things that are similar and some things that are different. So it's really exciting to me to see what folks are doing in the different contexts that they are. We made 5 grants this fall to outfits ranging from Maine to North Carolina to Chicago, New York City. And there's some really exciting people just chomping at the bit to do cool stuff. And as regards this particular topic that we have about skills transfer, I'll just mention one of the projects that I'm really excited about is a collaboration between a prior maintainers fellow. I don't know if people are familiar with the maintainers. It's just an awesome group of educators and academics and artists, et cetera, et cetera. And one of their fellows is collaborating with the High School of Fashion Industries in New York City. And they're organizing a year-long series of workshops where they're bringing in the garment district workers, because they're finding that people are losing the skills. They don't have the skills to do the alteration repair work for the couture. And so they're bringing these people in who will be working with the students and doing skills transfer, and all of that feeding into developing a certificate at the high school level for couture repair. So it's just really exciting for me too. I don't really come from a place of fashion. Personally, it's not my go-to first place. And I'm really excited to start to broaden my understanding about how repair manifests in various areas that have such enormous environmental impact. So those are some of the things that I'm seeing that are super exciting. And I would like to step over to give the mic to Alondra and Lauren and hear what you all are doing in Portland.
Well, thank you very much. I just going to talk a little bit about our project, then I'll turn it over to Alondra. First of all, just thanks very much to Vita for all the support and the resources. It's pretty incredible to be supported in that way, especially because the mission of Repair PDX is to spread repair culture. And the core of that, apart from fixing people's broken stuff for free, is to teach people how to fix their own stuff. And it's been really a cool opportunity to work together with the environmental promoters to reach folks in our community who are excited about it. So I just I'm just going to share a couple of pictures to illustrate what we've been up to. Let's see here. So I just put together a few things. This is so the environmental promoters, and I'll let Alondra talk a little bit more about that, is both adults and young people that they've been working with. And so last year we did a couple of prototypes, one with adults, and we had a bunch of volunteers come and repair items alongside adults. And so basically, instead of fixing items for them, we were fixing items with them. And you can see that it's just folks from the community. I'll try and make it a little bit bigger. And then just volunteers who love fixing things. And then we also have done a few similar things with other organizations in town, just to try to hone in on what kinds of things work and what kind of things don't. And so we've also done some additional programming with some of the youth at Rosemary Anderson High School. And so the grant that we got from Culture of Repair is going towards developing these programs further. So as you saw in the video, if you were here yesterday, the video with Isaiah, they were also participating, and we're fixing a fan, and we're so excited to fix the fan and got to take it home with them. And then here's a couple of high schoolers taking apart one of their Chromebooks. It wasn't their Chromebook, it was a Chromebook that we brought. And then this person was really excited to learn sewing. And then we brought a waffle maker that we helped fix. And then once we were done fixing it, we made waffles for everyone. And the hope is to, I mean, we tried a bunch of different things. And the hope is to develop programming that really meets their interests. So when we did this, we found out that the teenagers really wanted to fix things that they could put in their rooms, like lamps or other items that were personal to them. And then they really liked the waffles, so we might do that again. And then they really wanted to take apart like Xboxes and computers and stuff. And so now that we have that information, we're gonna work together with Alondra and the environmental promoters starting in January. So we've found somebody to lead the programming. Like I'll be overseeing it, but we have found an instructor who's going to help develop the curriculum. And one of the things that we have decided to do, instead of developing a curriculum that's consecutive, because you never know if the same people are going to show up. And also, if we get a chance to work with them on a weekly basis, it's like a week later, they may or may not remember what happened. So we're going to prioritize developing activities, like that can be kind of like a la carte type of thing, instead of a curriculum that is like a building off one another. And what's also really awesome about the Culture of Repair is that there's a lot of resources now that are in Spanish. So we're going to work with those. And we're also going to work with some of the iFixit things like, I don't know if y'all have seen it. There's like the cell phone component hunt. And so where you can take apart a cell phone. And in this case, it's going to be flip phones because the iPhones are a little tricky. We've done it before, but it still can be quite delicate. So it has to take a certain amount of focus. But it's almost like a game of bingo. And you take the cell phone apart and then you try to find the different components and identify it. And then there's some resources from the Restart project in London that I got that talks about the different materials that are involved in cell phones. So we're going to try and put some of those different resources together into some activities and then capture those so that they can be used for other folks as well. So some of it is going to be working on some of the stuff that's already existing, and some of it is hopefully developing things that are very particular to this age group and population that can be used for later use. And will, oh, here's just another, this was we've already tried doing a cell phone and component hunt with fifth graders at Buckman Elementary School doing after school programming. And that was, it was fun, but it was also it did take a lot of focus. And I did learn that even though that was fun and they enjoyed it, I think middle school and up is a better population to do that. So just wanted to show you some pictures to kind of get a sense of the educational things that we're trying out. And I will turn it over to Alondra to continue talking about it.
Hi, everyone. I also have a few photos to share just from our experience with Lauren, and I can share a bit more in depth. I help out in the program. We focus on recycling, waste prevention, and healthy homes, as I shared yesterday. And when it comes to reuse, this was a really new topic for a lot of residents in New Columbia apartment complex. So when this idea came to be, they were really intrigued by what can we learn from this? And then in some instances, some residents brought some of their items from home to kind of figure out, how can we repair this? And Repair PDX was there to help some of the residents, if they had something from home that if it was able to be fixable, but also just it's been a good learning experience for them. They really enjoyed these workshops. I've also kind of helped with translation and interpretation because there is that language barrier. I believe, especially, it can be intimidating. It can be, it's a new thing for a lot of Spanish speakers. So they really appreciate, learning a lot about the reuse. And it's not that, from the conversations that I've had with them, it's not that they don't want to learn. It's just, they don't know how to go about things. So it's been a really great experience. And I know our next steps is to, actually one of the environmental promoters is helping with the curriculum development too. So we're really excited for the next phase with the residents and the workshops. Yeah. It's been a really great experience also for me personally, and just seeing everyone come together and learn about reuse. Yeah. And then these are just a few additional photos from the workshops. Here's Doug. He brought a CD player that he's been, one of the speakers wasn't working. And then there's a toaster oven that Rogelia actually was able to fix, and she took it home. And then just learning about, how to repair other, like the coffee grinder, I believe. And here's the resident at the bottom. She actually brought her daughter in, and they were able to work on something together. So yeah, we're really excited for all the future workshops to come.
Great, thank you, Alondra. Did you all want to make any more comments about your work together before I make space for Peter to come tell us about what he's doing in the larger universe? I had some questions, but maybe we should hold that for comments after Peter has presented. So there you are. Good to see your smiling face, Peter, as always. Tell us what you're doing out in the universe.
Well, I've got some slides. Can I share them, please?
Excellent.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. Well, I say fix a clinic's this hobby of mine that's gotten way out of control. And I also suffer from attention deficit disorder. So I'm constantly revising and changing and morphing what I do based on what I see happening in the outside world. I like that quote by the hockey player Wayne Gretzky, who says, "You need to skate to where the puck is going to be." And so I'm always trying to be a little bit ahead and anticipate where things are going. So what I'm deploying at this point is what I call, hey, slides move. Always there repair. And the idea is at this point in where we are with repair, with the world, with sustainability, with globalization, we need to get to a place where repair is ubiquitous, pervasive, commonplace, ordinary, boring even. That's there every place. Now, I'll tell you why that isn't possible right now, and it's getting worse. So yes, we do have the commonplace things like your hair dryer is not on the Internet of Things yet. But more and more things are becoming a combination of hardware and embedded software, and that's making those things harder to replace. So in this specific example, Apple has cryptographically serialized the internal components of the iPhones now so that only they can decide when you can repair it. Only they can provide you with the parts. No third-party repairer, no person at home can fix an iPhone, a modern iPhone at this point because of this. So we need to think about how that trend is going. And like I said earlier, the space heaters and stuff don't have connectivity like this yet, but that might be the trend going forward. And the reason why that's important is because we're asking people just to be participatory in society at this point. You need to have this digital access. You need to have access through these ever increasingly complicated and yet more brittle devices. And the consequences become worse as well. I mean, it's one thing to lose your family photos because your laptop hard drive or your phone breaks, but it's another thing to lose your access to banking or to healthcare. So more and more Fix-It-Clinic's work has to deal with digital equity, digital inclusion, digital literacy, and economic justice. All right, so now how does that tie into education? Well, let's start with pre-K. Let's start with little kids, okay? We love it when fixing families show up at Fix-It-Clinics. And the whole thing is designed to basically empower parents to interact with their kids around stuff. Those of you with kids know, our kids are often our best customers because if a kid has a broken toy and when it breaks, as a parent, you can't, the toy industry is like the fashion industry, you often can't replace the toy. So it becomes really traumatic. So they're often very, very motivated to get that thing working again. And it doesn't have to be a toy. I mean, whole families come in to fix, like one family came in with their toaster oven because it was making this annoying buzzing sound when the toast was done, and they want to address that. Whether it's the parents or the Fix-It coaches, our whole program is set up to basically empower people to affect their own repair. Think about how much you can do to basically make sure that the person who's the owner, the custodian of the device is affecting the repair that you're trying to do, and learning as much as possible. It's about transfer skills. So you need tools, and we have this starter toolkit that we recommend. I've got this spreadsheet I can include later that has all the parts and where to get them and stuff like that. And this is sort of a basic, this is what you would need as your basic set to get started. You can deploy this in a school, you can deploy this in a library. We have lots of these out already in the world in libraries and schools. And what that enables is something like this, where these are high schoolers who are repairing a stand mixer for their local community kitchen. They did this during the pandemic. This was totally hands-off. We never met with them in person. They did it all using tools like the ones I showed on the previous slide and fixing via Discord. So you might ask, well, what is Discord? Discord is this gaming platform that all the teens and young adults are on. And what we've done is we've created a global fixer server on there that allows us to interact with them. I mean, this is the way, they're digitally native. They're totally comfortable with doing this. And this allows us to deploy a combination of hybrid and in-person repair at this point, and to have multiple touch points with people. So you don't have to fix it that day. It's this shift away from being event focused and being more results focused. So at this point, we can do these things where we affect, basically someone comes in, we can give them an assessment on Discord. We say, oh, you need this tool or this part, let us figure out how to get that to you, and then come back to Discord, or there's this in-person event that happens to be next week. You can bring it there and they can show you how to install the part or how to take the next step. But the point is we have people going through a journey through repair rather than having them have this event-focused type of activity going forward. And we also have deployed these smaller, more targeted toolkits in public libraries. This one is specific to fixing your phone. And this is a 7th grader who's using Discord and the library's toolkit to fix his phone. And moving up to higher ed, we hold Fix-It clinics in conjunction with colleges and universities to teach the next generation of practitioners, of engineers and designers, how to design for durability, maintainability, serviceability, repairability, alongside design for manufacturing. And we're going to need this for the new circular economy. And what better way to learn it than to interrogate the things in our built world now by opening them up and looking at them and trying to fix them and saying, oh, it broke in this way. If I'm going to design this in the future, I should make sure it doesn't break in this way again. Now, here's the great opportunity that's education specific right now. I mean, it's kind of sad, but it's great also, which is that during the pandemic, all these school systems bought millions of Chromebooks to support distance learning. And the whole Chromebook model is they are disabled via software by Google after a certain time. It's called the automatic update expiry date. And you start to get messages like the ones on the screen. And then the Chromebook, you can kind of use it, but it's crippled. But it means the school systems can't use it at all because they're enrolled in Google's enterprise enrollment system that manages the Chromebooks for them, and Google won't support them anymore after that AUE date. So at this point, all these Chromebooks are destined for the computer refurbishers and to the e-recyclers. And there's just mountains and mountains of them waiting out there to be re-leveraged. Here's the leveraging trick. You can turn them into general purpose laptops, but you have to open them up and modify them. So it becomes a repair exercise at the same time that you keep these things in service in your communities. So what's involved? You open up the back, and when you look at it, yeah, it looks intimidating at first, but you're looking for what's called the write protect. And what you need to do is remove the write protect screw. Well, hey, look, there's actually on the circuit board, it actually says WP right next to a screw. How hard is that? Can I take that out and keep that screw as a trophy? And then when you put the back on, it's liberated from Google. You can install any operating system you want on it. You have just created a device that's capable of being a fully functional general purpose laptop. Can kids do this? You think kids, if you ask a kid to take something apart, you think they're going to have a good time with that? Heck yeah. So we are teaching 5th and 6th and 7th graders, high schoolers, how to basically take apart Chromebooks, remove the write protect screw, and then you can load any operating system you want on it. I mean, this is really empowering. I mean, we can do any number of things with these Chromebooks now. We can give them to the graduating seniors. We can send them home with the kids for the summer. We can have stacks of them at the local library to give out to the economically disadvantaged. I mean, anything's better than what's happening now, which is when they go to the computer refurbishers, they have no value to them. They sell them onto an e-waste recycler. The e-waste recycler is shipping them to the Philippines, Indonesia, or Thailand, where they're being harvested for the 1 or 2 chips that still have some value, and the rest is being e-wasted there. So we don't want that. We want to keep the wealth of our communities in our communities. And we want to empower people and convey skills at the same time. So there's this wonderful opportunity at this moment in time to leverage this surplus of Chromebooks that, as far as anybody else is concerned, have negative material value, but we can turn them into gold in our communities. And here's an example. So this is the San Mateo County Library Maker Mobile. And I have taken a Chromebook, an expired Chromebook, and I've turned it into a Discord appliance on the Chromebook. It's configured to automatically open up and boot right into the Global Fixer server on Discord. So anybody can ask a question on repair anywhere that the Maker Mobile is, just by the librarian or whoever's on the Maker band, the Maker Mobile, handing them the Chromebook, opening it up, and just handing it to them so that they can start asking questions. And the point is, whether you're 6 or 16 or 60, not only should you be able to repair your own stuff, but it should be easy to do it. I mean, she is fearless, she's actualized, she's enabled, she's empowered, she's everything we want for ourselves in our shared future. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Well, Peter, that's so exciting. That's so exciting. And we can, so Discord, can you just say in 2 minutes is this like logging on to, how does someone unfamiliar have any idea what you're talking about?
I say try it. And I'll put in the chat instructions. Everybody here is welcome to join. It's really, I mean, just try it. I mean, don't take my word for it. See if it's of value to you and your community. Because the other thing it does is it acts as a backstop for our local repairers. they don't have to know everything anymore. If they see something, if there's something they haven't seen before, they can go into Discord and ask their questions there about what it, like, hey, I've never seen this before, can I get help? And get the entire global, there are 700 repairers around the planet on Discord right now.
Awesome, thank you. Let's see. So did we lose Alondra? Is she gonna join us?
She's here, but I'm checking with her, maybe.
Okay, no matter. So I had it seems to me that there's a couple of different completely unrelated topics in mind. One of them is about access and language. And that was one of the questions that came up when Alondra and Lauren were talking about their work. So let's talk about that first. The other has to do with mindset. So can you, what I've witnessed is, almost all the resources that I'm aware of are in English because I speak English principally. And so the places where people go to get answers like Discord, Peter, I presume that most of that is in English, or do you have folks around the world who could support any language?
I'm happy. I've been talking to Martine Postman, Repair Cafe, about setting up a Dutch specific channel in Discord. And we haven't needed it yet, and I speciously say, yeah, the language of repair is universal. We can figure it out. But I understand. But yes, it's wonderful that you can support that kind of regionality very easily if you wanted to or need to.
Yeah, it seems to me, I mean, from my perspective, adding Spanish, I mean, one reason that it seems like it's, we operate so much in the English-speaking world, and I'm thinking particularly about both Spanish-speaking people in the United States, but we've got all of Latin America as well. As I've been involved in getting some Spanish language resources out, and it's been exciting to me to see what needs. There's so many needs out there that aren't met yet. Lauren, when you all are working, often in fix-it clinics or in repair cafes or whatever, people log on to YouTube or people log on to resources to find out how to repair things. What do you do when English isn't an option?
Well, we do have a couple of volunteers who speak Spanish, but it is very inconsistent in terms of our programming and being able to offer those kind of services. So sometimes a lot of times or the volunteers do their best to try to show folks. But like how they were talking about yesterday, even if you translate flyers into Spanish, it's still a barrier because folks have questions, or once you get to the event, it's hard to navigate if nobody there speaks Spanish. So sometimes we're able to offer, or like Alondra was saying, sometimes she will be there or other folks from environmental promoters to help be the translator when we're trying to fix things. But for the most part, it's folks who speak English just trying to work through it together, not being able to totally understand.
And I was thinking as much about the event, but also I'm thinking about, as we're empowering people to open things up themselves. I mean, the whole point is for folks to take the initiative, to want to take to be inclined to take the initiative, and then to feel empowered to do it, and then actually to do it. And part of that is access to information, so that not just the doing in the event, but then the knowing where to go when you're offline, you're at home or whatever. And so that and perhaps some of our people who are on the call have some experience in working in these sort of multilingual settings. And so I don't know if people can raise their hand or make any comments, but I'd be interested in knowing how we can add an overlay of helping people not only know that there's these amazing, go to YouTube for information, but that language is no longer a barrier. So sort of involve in including that in our overall empowering people to be able to take care of their own things. It seems to me that access to resources in other languages is part of this larger the larger challenge that we have. And so I don't know how we is Sydney's out there, right? I think you're our backup or technical person. I don't, if someone wants to make a comment, how does that happen?
We have a lot of questions in the chat, actually. I don't know if any of you can see them easily, and they go back quite a ways.
Also,
Okay,
Alondra is back. You wanted to ask her a question.
Can you, I can't even find out, where's the chat? Can you, is there a theme? I'd like to get to the highest and best. Oh, here's the chat. How do we, have you've been watching the chats the questions come through?
Not closely, I admit.
Would it be helpful if I read some of the questions from the chat out loud?
That would be great, especially if you've seen some commonality. So please do.
Let me see. Okay. When you say we for individual versus event, does that mean your local community, or is there a body of people that provide this support to the greater community? And is this service now in place?
I think that was for Peter specifically, regarding the Discord versus repair events.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to answer questions in the chat. Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah. When you say we for individual versus event, does that mean your local community, or is there a body of people that support to support this greater community? And then
the global fixers are literally global fixers. All right. So right now in Discord, like at this moment, there's a high schooler in Pescadero, California, who's trying to fix a Breville coffin maker. He's in a remote rural area of San Mateo County. There is a refugee from Uganda who's in a refugee camp in South Sudan, who is starting repair in his community, and he is using this as a resource. So it's really available to anybody on the planet. I mean, it's wonderful. We can see items that would be too big and unwieldy to bring to an in-person event. So we've seen dishwashers and sofas and stuff. And then also this idea that we can serve communities that would otherwise be too small or too remote to support having their own in-person event.
And I got two more Discord related questions. One, are there security issues or privacy issues within Discord?
Of course, the internet is a cesspool, okay? That's stated, and Discord has a reputation like all these other things. But the nice thing about Discord is it allows things to be siloed. And at least on the Discord server we have right now, it's a private server. And, look, I've got high schoolers and middle schoolers on it, all right? So there's all sorts of issues we're trying to get. It's being heavily moderated for repair. And part of this is an experiment on my part in social engineering. Okay, can we create a community within a community that is totally positive and inclusive and all the other wonderful things that the internet was supposed to be when it started, instead of what it's turned into now. So we'll see as it expands, but so far it's really been wonderful. The moderation has been very light, and people are generally and earnestly interested in helping each other get stuff fixed.
And one last Discord question. How fast do responses usually come in? Could someone hypothetically have it set up during a Fix-It clinic as a live support system?
So I am doing that now. So these are my registration laptops for in-person Fix-It clinics. So I have them here and ready to go, and they're there and available. And what I do a few days before, and I invite anyone who wants to try this, is basically we can send out a broadcast announcement on Global Fixers Discord saying, there's this in-person event on Saturday from this time to this time, your local time zone. And, are you going to be available? If you're available, if you happen to be on Discord, check in here every so often, see if any questions show up.
And actually, so all the questions look to be about Discord if they weren't already addressed by someone else in the chat. So
Come on.
those are the questions.
There was actually another question though about what happens with the Chromebooks after you take out that screw, what OS it runs on.
Oh yeah, I was about to answer that right now.
Oh,
So yeah, so you can load any number of different Linuxes. You can load Windows, but you can't get a valid license. The thing is, it becomes this machine that you can create a specialized laptop for, in the way that I've created that repair information station for the San Mateo County Library Makermobile. And all of these are now repair information stations. So, if I open this up, it will boot right into Discord Global Fixers, and you could start typing a question. And so you could create one of these that's dedicated as your registration laptop for your events. You could create one of these as your dedicated checkout registration laptop for one of your events. But what I'm doing, I'm giving them to libraries because I understand librarians are overworked and underappreciated, and they don't want to think about trying to help with repair necessarily. That's not fair. They God bless them, they're great. But this allows them to basically say, I'm not sure how to help you, but these people might be able to.
Okay, Peter, you're doing such amazing, awesome work. Let's see. So, Sydney, did you have any more questions you wanted to bring up, or I had a topic I wanted to put out? Are you there?
I think you're good to go, Vita.
Okay, great. So we've got the topic of our sort of looping back to the topic of this hour was skills retention and skills transfer and repair education and community, and how those contribute to community resilience. And I'm sort of interested in how skills transfer and mindset transfer go together. That is, we've got different generations who know more or less how to do things, and so that skills transfer across generations, for example. Or we have communities like a technical community that Peter might exemplify, who know and so that with the skills transfer comes a transfer of a sense of capacity, of empowerment. And it seems to me that those are intimately tied to mindset transfer, so that skills and a sense of capacity, a sense of agency go together. One of my questions is, how do we then incorporate that sense of care, that is, of taking care of what we have, and sort of the motivator behind making repairs? Do either Lauren or Peter or Alondra have any thoughts on sort of where the mindset aspect of things comes in?
I think just something to consider too is the socioeconomic aspect of it, because it's not necessarily that people don't want to take care of things. It's just that there's just, if they're taking care of their family and they don't have a lot of money or time, that a lot of people have been repairing things for a long time. But if you are working a lot and you have to take care of your family, it's much easier to go to Target and buy a toaster for $10 that's just going to break next week than take the time to fix it. So I think, well, there's definitely some aspect of empowering folks, and once you learn how to fix something, you are more attached to it and you feel a sense of ownership over it. And there's the economic reality for a lot of folks and the amount of time that they have available.
So Lauren's absolutely right. There's an enormous amount of economic privilege associated with repair as it exists at the moment. And part of that is the broader thing that in our society as it exists now with consumption and capitalism, where we think it's free to throw it away, and we're not paying the true cost of the item when we purchase it. All the upstream and downstream costs factored with both making that item and disposing of it properly are not factored in at that moment when we buy it. And so they're what I call consumer trifles at this point. And we really have to, that's why we have fix-it clinics at colleges and universities, because we have to think about how we move to a different world where these things are designed to be durable as opposed to what they're happening now. Is they're what I call junk by design to begin with.
I also think to add to the socioeconomic status, like culture and language, like I mentioned, language being a barrier. We also work with Somali community and Nepali communities, and there's that gap, and it can be hard, culture wise. So we do, try our best to support that, but we just have to be mindful and listen to communities, like what's their best way, to get to know them, and then like meeting their needs and like where their interests really are at. Because if we just, bring resources, what if they're not really interested? So it's also something like, do they really want to learn, or what's the best way they can learn, meeting them in the middle. I think it's also, and we really prioritize building those connections and trust too when we work in our workshops.
Okay, I think we